What is good, y'all?
What's
Can
up?
y'all
What
back?
up?
Y'all
What
back?
up? We are here.
What's good, y'all? Welcome to Dad Beats. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks, so excited to excited to get back and get back to this producer chop up chat we got going on, and talk about these these different topics that are relevant to our community. So, for anybody who hasn't tuned into Dad Beats before, this is basically a podcast where we talk about being a producer and a creative with responsibilities and a family. So, not necessarily exclusive to just that. We've got some moms in here that make beats. We've got all different types, but we try to stick to topics that are relevant to producers who are dealing with different challenges in that realm. So, I'd like to introduce everybody once again. I am Sight. Um, got my brother O Caesar, the King O Caesar, right here.
What's going on? How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a blessed day. For real.
And the brother Lifted Noise is back.
What up,
Congratulations,
everybody?
sir.
Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, for everyone who doesn't know, I just had my third child, a third daughter. So that's pretty wild. Thank you for that.
A lot of estrogen in that house, man.
Yeah, yeah, most
Congratulations.
definitely.
That's beautiful, man. So yeah,
It
it
is.
takes a little while to bounce back from that. We've all been through it, and I guess you're a pro now. It's your third, so I'm sure
Yeah,
you've been
it's a little different this time around,
you
just
got you
having the
got a
perspective.
second win. Like you already know what to expect.
Yeah, somewhat. Plus, I'm taking some time off, for bonding and all that. Luckily, I got a
Hmm.
job that, provides that kind of thing. And so I'll still get my paycheck somewhat and be able to be here. So no idea what it's gonna be like when I go back though, It's gonna be a whole
Hmm.
different thing. So it's good that I can be home. But all right. Happy to
That's
be here,
awesome.
guys.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
man. You know
So
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
today different type of topic. We try to come up with these topics. Sometimes they're on the fly. A lot of times we kind of just come up with something that's been a heavy discussion lately. And what's been popping up a lot recently has been guys coming back into the producer space, talking about coming back from a hiatus or a break from making music and making beats. And it's something that I've dealt with personally. Have you guys taken a break?
Go
You
ahead,
want?
oh.
Okay, yeah. I've taken a break. My reason for taking a break was like solely off of what I'm saying. I had some crazy stuff happen when I was younger. With people like stealing all my stuff. So it kind of like made me fall out of love with like music and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So like
Mm-hmm.
once that happened, I was like my motivation to do it was like so down. I took like probably about 5 years
So
off.
your
You know
yours
what I'm
your
saying?
break was caused by kind of like external circumstances. It was like it,
Yeah.
it was like it was like a straw that broke the camel's back type of thing.
Like you work so hard. Like everybody knows if you hear your studio person, like how hard you work to like build up all your gear and get your stuff working the way that you want to do, and then you just come and everything is gone. You got to start from like square one. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
great
Mm-hmm.
feeling, man. So it was like for me, like taking that hiatus was like, it was just I had fell. It's like kind of like I think it was P Diddy or somebody who said something like that. Like he like kind of just fell out of music, and it was something that happened or he seen something that like made him fall back in love with the music again. And
And it
like
brought him back. How
and
long did you take a break for?
it was a couple years. I know for a fact it was a couple years because I always had like like when I think the first piece of gear that I really bought after like my all my stuff got stolen was the MPC Renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
So, I bought the MPC Renaissance, then I bought like a controller and I had already had like a computer still. Like I had a backup computer that had FL Studio in it, but I wasn't doing anything with FL like, for a long time.
And how long
So
did you say? My bad, I missed it.
probably about 4 or 5 years for sure,
4 or 5 years.
I think.
Okay, okay. What
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
you,
that's a long time.
Raul?
Now I'm trying to think about it. Like there's no like long periods if I think back where I consciously, you know, decided to stop making music. Um, because this has been a hobby for a long time. Um, when I was really
So
young, I
yeah.
think for the wrong reasons, I sold a bunch of gear just to, chase around with this girl, but that was when I was super young and stuff. And now I'm like, oh, why did I do that? But yeah, not I can't think of any long periods like 2 year, even a year at all. Like I can't imagine it. But I do now. Like um, I've taken like breaks for like weekends and stuff with a family and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the past, I've always wanted to bring my gear with me, but I'll consciously just leave it home and try to just focus on the family, now. So
Mm-hmm.
I see the definite benefit of that.
Yeah,
Definitely, definitely.
it's a crazy thing, like, when you because I don't know how different people, like, why people take their like hiatus from music and stuff like that, but it almost like is needed. You know what I'm saying? Because like
Yeah.
when I did come back, I was ready to come back. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like I said, whatever that thing was that I can't remember, like I can't pinpoint like a single thing that like really made me, like, I was like probably just one day like, man, heard a hard beat. I'm like, man, I need to make a beat. But I didn't have nothing to make a beat with, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
now it's time to buy something.
Yeah.
And then I started building again. Like I started, but obviously I move a lot different than I did back then,
Yeah.
with my gear and like who I have around, like my stuff, and the way I do stuff. So
Mm-hmm. Mine was a little different. I started making music. Like I started with my own gear in '97. That's when I got the MPC 2000, and I made it all the way to about 2010. So it was about I guess you could say it's about 13 years, and it was one of those things where it was like a building up frustration. I kind of got better. I got better, and then I started really focusing on like industry stuff. So I started trying to work towards placements. Started having meetings, going up to New York City. It's like an hour train ride from where I lived, and I was going up to NYC probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a month. Just trying to link up with different artists, doing small sessions, linking up with A&Rs, just trying to network. I would go to Philly a lot because I was only about 15 minutes from Philly, where I lived in Jersey, and I was dealing with, like, I started to see like a lot of the politics stuff with the industry, just weird stuff, like you sit down in front of an A&R and you're playing him beats, and he's skipping after like 3 seconds, and you're like, bro, you didn't even hear my intro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a learning experience, but at the same time, I'm like, yo, some of these dudes were just a-holes, bro. Like, they were just really trying to. Some of these A&R guys were like flexing, like they were friends of artists that, or they might have had connections, or it might have been like Diddy's like cousin's best friend or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
yeah,
they would be very loosely linked to somebody in a high position, and then they would try to like play you in these meetings. You know what I'm saying? I started feeling like some of the meetings weren't even like legitimate. Like it was like an ego boost for them. Like they were just trying to get a producer in there and like, yo, that's whack. Like, just skipping your stuff before they even gave it a chance. So that stuff was building up for years, like probably from like 2006 to, well, maybe
Mm.
like 2004 to like no, actually I'm tripping because I think my first meeting started maybe about 2002. So yeah, it was probably like a good solid maybe 8 years of dealing with like industry politics stuff, like trying to shop beats. And for me, it was just like I transitioned to being like a label owner. I tried signing artists, producing their projects. That's when I started getting into the visuals and stuff, and it kind of took over. Like it was making more money than music, basically. Like the music, you know what I'm saying? I was
hmm
doing sessions and stuff. At that point, after 13 years, I had probably like 25, 30 grand worth of equipment, right? So like my studio was pretty dope, you know what I mean? In my house, I had 2 rooms downstairs dedicated to it. I had my production room, and then I had a vocal booth room, which is really like my laundry room with some foam.
yeah,
Nice.
But it had a great sound, you know what I mean? So I started acquiring a lot of like local talent was coming through to record and stuff. So I had pretty steady clientele, but it was just every time I sat down to work with an artist, it was always the same thing. Like we would get to a certain point where they start popping like locally or regionally, and then when it came time for them to sign their contract and stuff, it was like, I don't know, bro. Let me have my uncle look at it. It was like a lot of, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it was,
Let me have my uncle look at it.
yeah, it was just like a lot of excuse. Like nobody wanted to commit to anything,
Yeah.
and that started to really bother me. That like literally for 13 years I've been working in a field that like no, like everybody that I met or the few people I did meet that did commit to something, they did something shady and ended up like kind of snaking me in a way, like and
Yeah.
disappeared, like would ghost me when opportunities popped up. You know what I mean? So it's man, it's a long story, but I was kind of jaded after 13, 14 years, and then I went through a divorce and I had to get practical. So I was like, all right, I'm about to lose my house. I'm about to like, I got to figure out what I'm gonna do like for money because I left my job to like pursue the music thing full time. And built the studio with like all my savings and stuff, and then that was like falling apart. So I was like, all right, the only thing that's making money now is the visuals, like photography, web design. I was doing like building websites, graphic design, music videos, were all making money for me. Like and
Yeah.
music really wasn't like it was like it might be a couple $100 a month and it just wasn't enough to pay the bills. So I was just like, yo, I can either like continue to have like 30 grand worth of equipment, or that's not really making that much money, or I can sell that and reinvest back into my visuals company, which was bringing money in. So little by little I started selling off my stuff like to pay bills and then also to reinvest into the visuals and stuff. And then before you knew it, bro, I had was Reason on a laptop. Like I went from, like I said, like not a massive studio, but I had like racks full of stuff. I had 24 track automated mixing board and recorder. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a lot of stuff pretty much, man. So I went
You
from
ended up
about
you
go
ended up
ahead.
selling this stuff.
I had what?
Sorry, go
My
ahead.
bad.
You ended up selling all this stuff.
Yeah, I sold it all, bro. Like I sold everything except for like my old computer monitors, not computer monitors, but my old event PS6s, which weren't even my primary monitors. You know what I'm saying? I just used them. I just needed something so I could edit video, so I kept
I,
those. But yeah, bro, I sold like 25 grand worth of equipment, pennies
Mm,
on a dollar pretty much because it was turning into
mm.
like the DAW revolution where everybody was using Pro Tools and using DAW. So like equipment was going for dirt cheap back then. So I might have made like 5, 6 grand back off of all that selling all that stuff. So
man.
and
I,
then I
Wow.
I
took 5 years off, bro. Like I can't. I moved down to Atlanta probably that was end of 2013. So I took like a year or two. Was really focusing on the branding, the visuals, the marketing stuff. I had like a marketing mentor at that time, and I was just like waist deep in that, like just going extra hard, learning the marketing side of things, and staying away from rappers, bro. Like staying away from artists, because that's who was like making my life hell at that point. Like what I'm saying, all those relationships were
Well,
just one
that
sided.
that's a real point too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like back in the day, we had like a group, and we like we rapped and stuff too. So like the whole reason why I even bought stuff for the studio is that we had like a group and we were trying to be rappers and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
we kept going to studios and the studios kept playing, like, so we was like, man, we might as well learn how to do all this stuff ourselves. So me and my boy Flames, he already knew how to make beats. I was learning how to make beats. I had a pretty good job. I just started buying stuff, and
Hmm.
soon we had everything that we needed. But it was the same thing, like I felt like my dudes was solid, the dudes that I did work with. Like when we moved, when I ended up putting my studio like equipment in like my boy's new house in the basement, because I didn't really have a place to put it where I was at,
Hmm.
and so that people could do. But then we started getting like a whole bunch of new people in there coming, and then it like kind of turned into like a party house, and
Hmm.
just off of that stuff, a lot of stuff happened. But like going back to what you were saying, it's like the relationships with people, like you see, like, that people don't have your best interest at heart.
Right.
You're working hard to try to push an initiative, to try to
Hmm.
push, like, to start like a movement, right?
Right.
But like when everybody else is not like on the same page, or like when stuff like that happens, it does kind of like throw you off too. Like I have
Hmm.
that right now. Like when it's hard for me to like want to record artists and stuff like that, because now that I'm focused on like my brand, and the stuff that I'm doing, I'm actually doing better than I've ever done. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying, like I
You're
don't have,
focusing on you. You're not focusing on somebody. You're not relying on somebody else to stay
yeah.
committed in order for the product to or what you're putting
So
out to work.
And see,
so I
this is the
gotta
thing. Oh, you like I'll speak and then I'll give it.
okay.
I'll just say this one little thing. You know, it's tough when you're like really putting your stuff to the side and building other people's stuff up just for, like it to
Because you were an artist too.
never go nowhere. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't really ever classify myself because my boys, even to this day, get on my case about getting on songs and stuff like that because I just never been like those dudes is good at freestyling and
Mm-hmm.
writing. I feel like I do music pretty good, but I just can't, you know, I don't know. It's just not really my thing. I think I fall more into like the producer, you know,
Mm-hmm.
part of it, you
So
know. So my bad, left the noise like
no, it's all good. I was just gonna ask you both because it sounds like from your guys' situations, you were like kind of trying to come up with people, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken, in both
yeah.
your stories, and maybe there wasn't that drive that you guys had, and so was it that? So yeah, from side story, it sounded like you kind of moved away from it to do pursue other things, and then with you, Caesar, it sounds I don't know if there's that exact correlation of why you stopped, or you already told the story why you stopped, really, but what was the reason like getting back into it? Is it it's like a different approach now, just the industry changes or there's more opportunities? Is it easier as an independent person, like a producer? Because I mean, we're all doing kind of video content. Is it something sparked this to get you started doing it again, or was it just a love for music that you couldn't stay away?
It's
You know,
always been a love of music. And
for sure.
I'll tell you that because I've always loved music. Even when I wasn't making music, I constantly listened to music. Like I physically can't work in my job unless I'm listening to music. Like I can be doing anything. I can't really like start working and like getting work done unless I got music in my ear. Like that's how much I love
Mm,
music. You know what I'm saying? But as far as once you actually start creating music and then I don't know, it like feels some kind of, for me it's like kind of like you know like therapy too. Like
Mm-hmm.
mm,
I feel great when I'm in the studio and I'm creating something that I've created. It's like building a house, brick by brick by brick. You're building something that's yours and you see like
Mm-hmm.
what it becomes. And like when you
mm,
make a banger too, it's like, man, now your neck is like you in the
Yeah.
studio doing all that.
No,
It's
it's a vibe. It's a
yeah.
whole it's an experience that's not really like anything else. And for me, like I didn't trip over leaving it because like when I was using music as my career, or I was trying to, what I mean, I was making money off it, but it wasn't enough to really sustain. But when I was using it as like a career and I was really focusing on the career aspect, it stopped being fun. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
mm,
I
Yeah.
did it in a way that was like I was dealing, the power wasn't really in my hands. I was putting power in like these gatekeepers' hands to tell me what type of music I need to make, or this artist needs a hit and this artist needs this and that. So I was
mhm,
kind of being dictated, like, it felt like a job and it wasn't a lot of fun. So I didn't really trip when I left or took a break because the photography and the graphic design and web design was like a creative release. It started off as just something that was a lot of fun to do, and then it started making money, and then it kind of did the same thing. Like after, it didn't do the exact same thing as music because it was a lot more successful. It still is to this day. Like it really is my
mm,
primary career, but I started missing music after I moved down to Atlanta, and I was running around, like running the streets for like 2 years. When I say running the streets, I mean like industry streets. Like I'm in the studio with like, like Tip, Two Chains. Like I'm not in the studio as a producer. I'm in the studio as a content, like a videographer, a
Videographer,
photographer,
yeah.
a branding guy, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
these guys are looking at me like, oh yeah, they don't. And I kind of, part of me was like, man, I wish I had beats at this time, but I wasn't making the type of beats that they needed. So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really, you know what I'm saying? I was making like very East Coast, like, like boom
well,
bap style beats at that time, and even a fit. So I was really just having fun, just still being in a music environment, but not having that pressure to perform on that level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um,
Quick question.
yeah. hmm
Were you still doing music as a hobby? You just weren't pursuing it as a career? Like did
I
you
did,
no,
bro.
it
I
was all
had
cold
Reason on
turkey
my, yeah. It
reason.
was like Reason was on my laptop, and I might have made one beat in 4 years, like, and it
Ooh.
was trash. So I was like, it was like I had the software, so I wasn't gonna like delete the software, but
Yeah.
that isn't even a fun way for like I don't like working on the DAW is just not fun for me. So I didn't even it wasn't even like a thing. Like I'm so used to hitting pads and playing keys and tracking my
It
my
used to
stuff in
just
through a
like,
mixing board.
ugh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. I'm
you
used to
know.
very hands-on music production. That's what music production is for me. And like
Yeah.
so not having that was just like, nah, I'm not gonna play myself.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even be fun. I tried probably a couple times and I was like, nah, I'm good. So and I think I was just so hurt by the whole thing, right? Like just so much like falling this much short. Like there's so many
Yeah.
opportunities that I had that I was close to like having either some type of record deal or some type of
Mm.
arrangement or some type of big paycheck. And it was literally like at the last minute, all this stuff would fail every single time. And I'd be like, yo, I'm
Mm.
done. Like, I don't, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, this industry is
It,
trash.
it sucks, man.
So another question for you. So it has like, I mean, taking that break and then pursuing the photography, the videography, and then you like realizing that, and being like, oh, I wish I had some beats right here. Has
Mm.
that opened up the opportunity for that kind of thing, for that kind of relationship? Was there any point where you got back into music and you're able to, put some beats in front of an artist and
I
make
think
something happen? Or
the timing's a little bit weird. Cause when I came back to Georgia, my wife, we weren't married at that time. She moved down to Savannah for a career opportunity. So I went down there with her. And I was honestly tired of Atlanta anyway. Like I said, I ran the streets nonstop for like 2 years, working 70 hours a week, like getting like 3, 4 hours of sleep. Like I was really grinding like till my eyes bleed type stuff. So I was honestly tired of the city. I needed a break from the whole entertainment thing anyway. So when I went down with her to Savannah, I decided to just stay because it felt like a vacation. So I honestly like had to reshape my entire business. That's why I started getting into YouTube because it was like those connections started fading away. Like the calls started coming in slower and slower. Like yo, site, so and so flew into town. We need you. Can you do a photo shoot this weekend? And I'm like, it wasn't even this weekend. It'd be like, yo, can you do a photo shoot in like 2 hours? And I live 3 hours away. And I was like, yeah,
yeah,
I'm 3 hours away, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to book a session that quick. And he was like, oh, okay, like people would be a little disappointed. And then like
yeah,
the calls started dwindling. And then like after 2 years or maybe 3 years of being down there, those phone calls aren't the same. Like you can't just reach out because people move on. They find more people that different people to rely on for different stuff. And I just kind of slowly lost touch with that. A lot of those people, like they're still on my phone. I could probably call them. For instance, like one of my homies that I grew up with, pretty much like he's a DJ, major DJ down here. He DJs for Jeezy. He's Jeezy's number one DJ, and he flies around, goes on tour all the time. And I was working with DJs of that caliber when I was out here. So, but he told me like, yo, what are you doing? Like he called me probably about a year ago and was like, yo, Jeezy's starting his agency, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna be working with artists and stuff. Where you at? And I'm like, yo, I'm down in Savannah, bro. He was like, oh man, let me know when you get back. And then it was like COVID hit. And I'm like,
oh,
oh man. So I don't want to be in a studio with like 20 people right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, with COVID.
Yeah. So it's like I think the opportunity's there, but I've kind of, once you got kids, you start thinking like, man, I don't really want to be, and then, like people was getting shot when I was down in Savannah. People was getting shot in Atlanta studios. Rest in peace to Grow Fresh. He was killed in a studio parking lot, a studio that I went to all the time, which I think is the main one 2 Chainz records at. So, you just start looking at stuff like that. Like, man, I don't really want to be around that. Like, I don't want to be a accident, especially when you got kids. You don't want to be accidentally get hit in some crossfire type stuff. So,
yeah,
it sounds crazy. It's something that everybody doesn't deal with, but it's almost like the circumstances, the way they turned out was like I really wasn't meant to pursue the industry and get back into it. So it just was not attractive when the opportunity did come back. It just isn't something I was interested in. And then YouTube thing is I don't call it the YouTube thing. It's more like my personal brand. I started working on my personal brand as a producer, as a content creator. That was kind of the goal of the channel, and it's been going so well that I guess I could fuse content of working with other people, but the problem is like, I'm sure you guys have worked with artists before. Sometimes, especially when you're working with people with budgets, like when they pay you, you have to like be at their call for stuff. So it's almost like it's really hard to schedule stuff because when people cut a check and you're part of a team, like of an artist or like whatever it is you're building, like they expect you to pick up the phone and do stuff when they need you to do it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's always on the artist time. Like even if you schedule like
Yeah.
the stuff be so
See,
annoying to me. Like you schedule time and then they show up
that.
like a half hour late.
a half,
Yeah.
lucky
Like
if it's a half hour.
yeah, it's like stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
it'll drive you. I think like and kind of going back to your first question back then. I think taking a break for me, like because you asked if it gave me like a different edge if I thought things were easier. Like I mean the music industry I guess can be like if you know a lot of people and stuff and you can get on a and you can get in with people, it can be pretty easy to build like connections real fast, if you're
Hmm.
really out there networking and stuff like that. But I think when I took my break I really like re-engineered and thought about like how I wanted to do things. Is because I don't like, a lot of that stuff like, and this goes back to like what we was talking about before about like I'm not really trying to be famous or be like no really popping like, the producer or artist or nothing like that. Like just the YouTube thing is good for me. Like I'm helping people, I'm doing
Yeah.
stuff and I'm building my own brand and I can like kind of like I'm starting to kind of make money like
Hmm.
Yeah.
behind the scenes, you know what I'm
Well.
saying? I don't want to be a person that's like I never wanted to be that guy. Like everybody wants some people want to be that guy. Some people want to be, and like some at some points I even wanted to like just be that guy just so I could be on and do the stuff that I love because like, I tried to do other things, besides music on when I took the hiatus too, like, just try to dive into other stuff and
Yeah.
I've always wanted, because I wanted to, kind of be an entrepreneur and do things like that. But like I always come back to the music every time. And I was
Hmm.
like, if I'm gonna keep doing this, because like you said, start having kids, you start having a family, you get older, like your train of thought like changes a lot.
You got to get more
Like
Mm.
practical, like
yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
I gotta make it work. So like if I want to, since I love music so much, it's like let's try to turn this into something that's going to be, profitable and
Hmm.
and still fun at the same time. Because I truly feel like if you can like hit the cheat codes, or access the cheat codes and do something that you love like every day, then it's not like working. Like every
Yeah.
time I do
Yeah.
YouTube and stuff like that, yeah, it sucks sometimes when you got to set your camera up and do stuff. But like when I look at the grand scheme of things, like I love doing this.
Hmm.
Like I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm glad I could turn my little lights we were just talking about. Sight helped me get my background looking, like
Well, let me ask you this. Like we found a way to come back in a sense of like mixing it with like a visual thing, right? But like, how much time do you actually? And I'm gonna ask, I ask you this too, Raul. Like, how much time do you guys actually get to spend making music these days?
Mm.
not a lot. Every
Yep.
time I get to get in here, it's like a kid in the candy store.
Yeah.
What
I
about you,
feel like
Raul?
I feel like I'm still trying to build something
Hmm.
for the moment when I do have more time. Because, like, no, I don't create, like, I would say maybe a beat or two, or like not completed beats within a month. And that's
Mm.
really, really, really,
That's
Yeah.
low
scarce. You know what I
output, bro.
mean?
Yeah, like yeah,
It
that's I'm the
is.
same. I'm in the same place.
So, yeah, it's just a matter of trying to find that balance. And I think, you said there's some setup. It is a little bit of work, but once you figure those things out, they become easier. You know how to implement them.
Yeah.
whatever with lighting or setting things up, and then I mean the rest of it is enjoyable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Minus the technical stuff. Um, was another part of that question? I did have something in mind I wanted to ask you guys though.
Yeah.
Because just talking about the music industry specifically, and I don't want to be naive, but I kind of came into this YouTube thing with that mentality, and I've always been kind of that dreamer, you know.
Of like
That's kind of
making it on a industry level.
yeah, just in
Right.
general, I've
Yeah.
always had that kind of mind state. I think it comes natural, whatever it is, just this dreamer mentality. But I don't want to be naive as far as the music industry. But I want to say this is that, and get your opinions, that it's changed a bit. But maybe it hasn't. Maybe just more opportunities for producers in general, because we can
Mm-hmm.
approach it like this and we could teach or like,
Yeah.
promote beats and sell beats online and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, do you guys think the music industry has changed? Is it just that it's opened up other opportunities? Um, or,
Yeah, I think it's
you
totally
know,
different than when I was like running the streets, like trying to get a deal. It's totally different. Like
do you
now
think
you
it's
don't.
level the playing field though? Or is it,
Yeah,
does
yeah.
the industry corporations still rule it in a way, just in a different way they approach it? Now they got to use all these other services like we do, like the streaming and distribution services. Are they
But
still ruling? Is
they
it evening out?
um, they
Or
really have to come through the artist now. They have to come through the producer because like I said, you can have like a little Nas X or like like a little artist or a producer who creates a SoundCloud and gets like a million hits. And now, you know what I'm saying? Like if he has people that knows what they're talking about, now he doesn't even need that because if he sets up his BMI, if he sets up his BMI and he sets up like
yeah,
his what's that? The thing that we talk about all the
Like the
time.
publishing and
Yeah, all the
but
yeah.
publishing
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. Like he can get paid without
but
having to have the
sure.
Well,
the
I
record
was
Is
company.
that is that
yeah.
really what's happening though?
For the most part, like I know
Like,
people.
is that could that possibly be a story? Because I've going to school, I heard about independence and then true independence. Like, there's a difference. There's major labels that own smaller companies, and they're just
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, subsidiary or something like that.
well,
If I
Subsidiaries,
said
yeah.
that
I
word. Is that
I
just
know
an illusion sometimes?
I know what a lot of people do is like instead of like actually signing a record deal, they just hire like a music manager who's tied in with the industry. And then like they still kind of have like the connections like that
Hmm.
because those people are they're working with like the labels and stuff like that. So you know what I'm saying, you're really paying you're paying the manager, and maybe like the record company is still getting like a chunk off of that. But like when you actually build your following and stuff and you have something when you go to them versus you not having anything and being
Yeah.
signed, really,
Well,
your negotiating power is a lot better,
yeah. Well,
as far as how much you get to
this would
keep.
make a whole other great topic we should do on another episode, and I do want to hear what Sight has to say about this
Yeah,
because
Sight
I don't
knows
know, I'm just
Sight
learning
knows
about it,
more than me.
and it makes me
I'll
think of
just
like
probably.
Nipsey Hussle because he was independent, correct? But then
Mm-hmm.
there's a distribution deal that's like a whole nother
Yeah.
thing that he signed with a major label, right? But
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think the way he did it is kind of like it's funny. I literally was telling artists about Nipsey since because I heard the marathon. I think the first mixtape and became a fan in like 2010 or 2011, and it's about the
hmm,
time that I was really like becoming because I always been an independent. Like when I was an artist, I put together like I produced my group, recorded my group, mixed my group, paid, you know what I'm saying, got a credit card, paid to have the CDs pressed up, you know what I'm saying, dropped, 500 on posters, on like 5,000 posters, bought staple guns from Home Depot, like I literally started my own street team. Everything start to finish, I might have invested maybe like 3,000 and I probably made a total of like, I want to say like 20 to 30,000 in return over the course of a year. You know what I mean? So I had always, this is 2002. So I had always had that independent mindset. Like, if we do this right and we make enough money out the trunk, we'll be able to kind of buy our way into certain circles or, like
Yeah.
I knew how flipping worked, right? So like I knew if I invested 3 and I made 20 off the project, if I put 10,000 into the next one, the campaign would be even bigger because I'd be able to hire a team to go rent a van and go out to like Maryland or go out to Philly or go, you know what I'm saying? So that mindset, this mindset has always been viable in the like in the music industry. That's what
Mm-hmm.
Jay-Z and Dame Dash and them did. Like tons of guys did that. You know what I'm saying? Master
Yeah.
P, E40.
Yeah.
So that business mindset has always been viable. It's always been there in a way. It's just some of those guys literally were independent for like 10 years before they got a deal. And the same thing, like by the time Nipsey came around, you're talking about the recording revolution that happened where people were able to record in their bedroom. So now the cost of studio time goes way down. And then you had, you know what I'm saying, you're able to go direct to consumer. You know what I'm saying? Like direct to consumer, like in 2002 was selling out of your trunk. Like you go to like a big
Yeah.
event and you sell it out the trunk. But direct to consumer in the digital era was like, yo, I put my music on CD Baby or whatever was hot at the time,
Yeah.
and you know what I'm saying, if people like it, they were gonna buy it. So I think it's always independent people have always succeeded in the music industry. You just don't hear the story that much. Like I know James Brown was independent like his entire
Yeah.
career. You know what I mean? He did deals with people, but he always owned all his masters. He always owned everything. And then now you're
Yeah.
talking about licensing, which is ownership, right? So it's like I
Yeah.
own this, you can use it for a
You
fee.
can license it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And
that's a totally different deal.
that's like the producer thing right now. Like the producers are huge on that stuff. And you just got to think about it though. Like you going independent and like making a lot of money, like is like if your music is popping and you build up a fan base, like you really don't even have to sell your stuff for that much to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You sell your whole album for $1, you get 1 million people to buy it. It's $1 million.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like,
I,
I think Tory Lanez did something like that where he like he sold one of his CDs for like $1. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And made like $1 million. Like,
right, because you're getting a much bigger percentage. That's
yeah, because
Yeah.
what
like
you're getting at.
you can make $1 million with a record company, but they're gonna take probably about 40 to 66
What?
because they're working
Yeah, I
on
always heard it
all
was
the
like
promotion.
an artist would get like 8 cents, if
Yeah,
that. Like the most popping artist would get 8 cents per the album.
Yeah.
yeah,
That
well,
was
it's
that
just
was
like the
crazy.
YouTube thing. Like, why would I even go to a record label?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I even go to a record label and let them sign me with like without having my like if I have 1 million people and I made $1 million off of selling my own CD for $1 and I go to a record label, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
able to
but
be
but
like, "Look,
that's
I made $1 million by myself. Like,
you
what
know,
can
but
you guys do for
that's
me?"
why I'm asking, is it naive that that it's changed, or is it just shifted to different approaches? Because if you think about like YouTube and Spotify, they're still giving you cents, like fractions even of cents
Yeah,
per
there's
stream.
still there's
You know what
still
I mean?
plenty of middlemen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's ways you can do business wrong where I don't say wrong, but you do not so smart business where you're putting a lot of energy into content that has middlemen, right? So like, on YouTube, it's like people chasing the followers. I mean, people chasing the subscribers, right? Like, oh, I want 1 million subscribers, but subscribers don't equate to being like they don't equate to how much money you make.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you do the right things, you can turn some of those subscribers, and it's a lot bigger crowd to market to. But
Mm,
you can make more money with 10,000 subscribers if you have a good product that's priced properly and your people who follow you are
right.
very loyal. You know what I'm saying?
Rather
So
than relying on the streams or the plays, is what you're saying.
right.
So,
Yeah, and and
yeah.
and and instead of because every time you do a piece of content, you're directing people somewhere, right? So like you can direct them to YouTube to subscribe and keep coming back to YouTube, or you can direct them to your website, or you can direct, you know what I'm saying? Like you can direct them to your email list or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying, that you want people to engage you, wherever you want them to engage you. If you have your own platform, it's always going to be way more profitable. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I tell artists like in a sense of stores, like, do you want people to come to your store or do you want them to go to someone else's store and
and
buy
buy your
something
product.
and give you a
Yeah,
piece of what's yours, or do you want to get the whole,
Yeah.
direct the
hmm.
whole amount? So
Well, I think the difference is too is like how much work you want to do. Because if you're
mhm.
just like that artist, because like the independent route, it's probably a little bit more stressful because you really are bootstrapping everything.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Now if you want to travel, you gotta be good with budgeting. Now you're taking that $1 million and you're investing in that, where that's where the record having like a deal is probably good in some ways because they're providing all that
But
stuff
that's the
for you.
thing, bro. Like they make you think like, oh, if I have a deal, I don't have to think about budgeting and I don't have to worry about how much this trip costs because it's
Well,
paid
yeah,
for by the company.
yeah,
Right.
Nah,
it's
it's
still
like an
the same.
advance.
It's still the same thing.
You
Yeah.
end up doing the same work. You know what I'm saying?
but
So you might as
but they
well,
have teams in place that help you with that versus you being independent and
Right.
and they
having to
cost
do
you money.
everything on your
So you
own.
can hire your own team or you can get their team who's going to
Yeah,
charge you probably 5 times more.
probably. Yeah.
Mm.
Any way you look at it, there's never a time where doing the work yourself or hiring the people to do the work yourself isn't more beneficial for you. Like it's just a
Right.
fundamental law of business. Everything you outsource, everything you outsource in a sense of like give all the work to someone else is gonna cost you. You know what I'm saying? Way more than
Mm-hmm.
if you oversee the project yourself. But you run into time constraints and you have to figure out how much time do you really want to put into running that part of your
Hmm.
business. And
And that's
sometimes it's worth
So
doing the middleman on something
and
that is
yeah.
tons of work, you know?
We was just talking about that because
Hmm.
like with the obviously you got your hats and stuff that you was doing in like the NPC gang apparel and stuff like you were spending so much time on it, you had to figure out a way to like kind of like streamline it a little bit. So
Yeah.
you came up with a couple solutions. I think like with stuff like that you have to come to terms with like how valuable is your time worth. you know
Hmm.
if you could pay a little bit of money to like free up some time and that's going to help you like be more successful in another area and like drive your business up, then it's worth, what I'm saying, outsourcing some
Right.
stuff and getting that stuff. That's fundamental part of
And we
business too.
got we got into kind of like a different topic. I wanted to
yeah.
y'all mind if I check in with the
Yeah,
chat real
check in
quick?
with the chat.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
because I want to know, you guys who are watching, how, did y'all take breaks? How long were they for? Let us know in the chat, like,
We need to
because this is,
continue this one though, like
yeah, yeah,
one
Yeah.
this,
day,
yeah,
because
this definitely,
we kind of like jumped
This
in
is
a
a whole
totally
nother.
different,
This is a
like,
whole nother podcast. Yeah, but
yeah,
a definitely valuable and a good one.
yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's related because knowing those things makes it more fun to stay involved. But yeah, let's check the chat real quick. Zach Reza, what's good, bro? That's my homie. He's an avid fan, and they kind of beat my birds down today. So I see you, bro. I know why you really in here, Zach. PBB beats. Yo, still have to check lift his last video. Oh, let me show it on the screen. Still have to check lift his last video. Other than the podcast, I don't have time to watch long videos. Oh man, listen, dude,
Mm.
we all struggling for time, so we definitely understand. About this subject, I'll probably have to tone down my videos and beats. I'm going back to the office, so I'm gonna lose like 2 hours per day in the commute. Ooh, yo, commuting is one of my least favorite things ever. So I feel for you, bro.
Can I
Yeah,
say one thing?
yeah.
Can I say one
Hmm.
thing to people who do make videos like you, PB Beats? If you could leave a comment in, in the comment section, so I can follow you. I like to like engage and check out your guys' videos. It's inspiring to see people start their channels and stuff. So,
Big facts.
yeah. So please do that for any of you.
Yeah.
Okay, and let me see. We got Mercury Digicom. Beat making is so much fun. Problem is, we need to earn money. Good vibes. Yeah, and I think it's like it doesn't. You don't have to. I think it just making money with your music. If you don't have to do it, like if you don't have to compromise too much to do it, and you're able to keep your artistic like integrity, it keeps it fun. And it lets you not have to like dig in your pocket for stuff. But if you have disposable income and you don't really want to rely on music, I I, I think that's kind of fun too. Like when you don't lean on it. You just
Yeah.
do it because it's a creative release. And I do. I don't say I miss that because I still don't make music that much. And when I do make music, it's a lot of fun still. So I think I'm doing a better job balancing. But associating music with an art is tricky, man. Like it can turn it not fun really fast.
Yeah. I feel that.
Zach M. Live to Enforce brought me back into it. Yeah, technology will do it. I saw the when I saw the NPC when I saw the Renaissance in
That was
2013.
my thing too. I
Yeah,
was like, I'm like, this is about to be my first, like, because it was kind of the best of both worlds. It was
mhm.
supposed to be. I still really do rock with the Ren. I almost wish I didn't sell it because I loved it. Like,
Yeah.
makes me
my
want to have an X so bad, but
my homie
it's
Merc Beats, he Mercury Beats, he did uh Diddy's joint. We ain't going nowhere. You know
mhm,
Did
that
he?
joint,
yeah.
Oh,
Bad Boys for Life.
yeah.
He had a studio, and I was going to check him out, and an artist I was working with. And man, when I saw that rent, I was like, "Jeez, they really finally did it. It was like a dream come
Hmm.
true." So
It's
yeah,
dope.
Yeah.
the tech will bring you back. Masada NPC was good, man. Thanks for stopping in. Caught another episode.
No,
Great
bro.
piece. Conrad Jones, really great to hear this bit, guys. I'm in a different boat, but similar, relevant still. Yeah, I'd love to hear what boat you're in, Conrad. Let us know, what your situation is as far as taking a break. Mega House, Giroux Thorough days. Shh, you're not supposed to tell him, bro. You're not supposed to tell him about that. But he's talking about the days when I was doing the independent thing, putting posters up and had the street team.
Hmm.
I don't want to butcher your name, bro. Does Zdenu Zakuma? Remember, your time is money. So if you're doing something that you learn a skill that you can leverage later, probably worth it. However, if that skill won't help you, might as well pay for it. Yeah, I agree, man. Because sometimes you can just dig into learning stuff and it
Definitely.
takes you away from your true passion. 16-bit sound, a topic that can go on for days, just scratch the surface. Big facts. Mr. Both of your standalone kits are on point. Thanks, I appreciate that, bro. Cool Doug Love. I've taken years off making beats. It's always been a hobby, so it's always something that I could easily get lost in the shuffle. Yeah, when something's a hobby, I guess you don't hang on to it as tight, right? Like you kind of just like if you don't have time for it, you don't have time for it, right? So I think I thought music was a hobby, and then after about 4 or 5 years, I was like, yo, I don't really like life without this hobby.
Yeah.
I got a couple on my end too because I'm live. I'm actually live on my channel too.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
We got Ghetto Styles in here.
Shout out to Ghetto Styles.
He said the record
What up, Gil?
record labels are scrambling right now. He also said NFT.
NFTs.
And then he said the biggest break I took was getting married. Didn't make music until I got unmarried.
Man,
So
yeah, it's weird how relationships tie in with your creative spirit, right? Like how a partner can make being creative very difficult at times.
yeah,
And the right one can make it very easy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to say the right wrong one, but I'm just saying like certain people in your life can make creating easier because they respect that part of who you
Yeah.
are, and appreciate it more. And sometimes
But
like no, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I mean that I'm just saying that's a good way to bring it back to the topic because
Hmm.
um there is a time for everything, right?
Yeah.
So some of the things we talked pre before the pod was some of those posts in the NPC gang as far as like where you're taking your NPC. You taking it on your honeymoon, you taking it in the delivery room for
Right.
your the birth of your child and stuff.
Bro,
And
I wish I could find that picture.
yeah, so that's crazy. Like yeah, I mean, you got to find someone, you got to be able to make those, have conversations and have good communication with the people that are around you, important, your family and stuff. I mean, if you're a
Hmm.
dad, you got kids, like it is important to take a break and just leave it all behind. And I think it's beneficial, you know, in the bigger picture for your music itself. Just having a moment of like a change of environment can actually breathe life into what you're doing. Because you could
Hmm.
sit there, have beat block, and then go on the internet and have gas for a bunch of other gear and just be consumed by music making and gear and all this stuff. And then it just, messes up your relationships or makes you, irritable and stuff. And you just don't
Right.
have a good balance with your family. So I
oh,
think that's
absolutely.
why it's important, bringing this back to why it is important to take a break consciously, not just,
Hmm.
whatever the situation is that might lead you to like discourage you or like what are you guys' situations where you had to stop because it wasn't beneficial. So, you know,
Right.
taking those breaks intentionally and how they can actually benefit you is an important thing to think about and talk about. So
Yeah. like I said, the relationship factor is definitely, a huge deal when it comes to like doing anything creative, or like you gotta have that rapport with the people that you love and stuff. Hopefully they pour into like your passions just like you pour into theirs. But like you said, sometimes you need to take a break. Your girl want to watch TV, and she want to watch this movie. Your ass
Yeah,
been in the studio all day. you
Hmm.
better you better take a break, boy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't be in the studio all day.
Shout
yeah,
out to Ill Butters. He said I made music for a lot of years, then I put music on hold for about 15 years. Family, kids, and career took over, but I finally found a balance to allow myself to make music again.
Hey,
good. Right on.
Yeah,
Good for
actually,
you.
shout out to
Really.
you,
for
bro.
real that. You know.
Because
Yeah,
it's definitely it's if that passion is in, it's like in you,
For
it's
real.
it's not gonna go away, man. You know
It
what I
comes
mean?
it comes back. Like I said, I tried to go like and try a whole bunch of different things. I'm like, man, I just want to make music.
Yeah. And Ill Butters is a beast, bro. He
I,
been posting a bunch of stuff in NPC gang, and I mean
that's what's
that
up.
man's a problem, man. And it's
that's what's up.
you can tell when something is like very passionate, right? Like when they do a video like making a beat, it's like you know what I'm saying? Like the energy is just there, and it brings something out of them. You know what I'm saying? Like so, I think that part is like really sad to me when somebody really has a gift for something, and for one reason or another, they just they just don't make time for it, or they just can't get the energy to pursue it. You know what I mean? Or not
That's
even pursue it professionally, but I just mean like
that
to
stuff
do it,
almost that stuff almost kills you, bro. Like you
not
you
not being
just
able to
think
do
like
it.
if you really love something, you know what I'm saying? It's no different than like I mean, like if you got to take, but I would use this like example, like being like a really good football player and just loving football, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have like this career changing, what I'm saying, injury that allows you or makes it to where you can't play football no more.
Mm-hmm.
Like it it
Mm-hmm.
it, it does something to you. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to play ball, but you can't.
And
And it's
that's
no different than any day everyday life, right? Because like sometimes literally life gets in the way and you have to be a responsible adult and you have
mm-hmm.
responsibilities and stuff like that. But like in your head, you're like, man, I really just want to
But
just
that's what I
take a
think is
second.
dope about music, right? And like being an artist or creative. It's a little different than sports in the sense of like, when your body can't do sports anymore, it just can't. You know what I'm saying? Like if your knee
Yeah.
is tore up and you can't run, a 40 in a decent time, like you just can't do it no more, right? But like music, and this is a conversation that comes up, right? Because like guys are like, oh yeah, it's past my time. It's past your time, maybe. I don't even know if that's true anymore, but like it
I
may
don't
be
think
past your
so.
time if you're trying to be famous, maybe. But if
Yeah.
you're just trying to make music and be creative, again, that maybe is I don't really think that's true, right? Because like,
Bro, how many
to,
Yeah.
people are still out here, bro?
What's past your time? What does that mean?
yeah,
Like,
That
I
doesn't
mean,
mean
I
anything.
think it'd be important to kind of shift that culture because when you have
mm-hmm,
like kids that are getting famous when they're 18, they're
mm-hmm,
being led, into a ditch like blindly a lot of times,
yeah,
You got to live a little bit to give some kind of wisdom to the world. We don't need like the same old just, you know, topics
yeah,
and stuff that isn't good for us as a society, as individuals, and
mm-hmm,
a lot of this stuff is destructive. So, I mean, I hope that we can shift that. I mean, all of
yeah,
us here, we're a little older than I don't know. I mean, I hate to compare because I'm like kind of past that now.
mm-hmm,
I'm 35 now. When I was like 29 and I was about to hit 30, I had a brief moment of like anxiety, like a little panic attack. I'm like, oh shit, that number 30. And I'm 5 years away from 40, but you know what? I'm just gonna get better with age, like all around. Like I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
find a balance, become a
Yeah.
great father, become better as far as like physically and health, like what I'm
mm-hmm,
eating. And I was just thinking of that as a parallel, is like because we're talking about daily things and what you do. If you
mm-hmm,
think about it as like your diet. So like I eat
mm-hmm,
a what's called a ketogenic diet. So it's really disciplined, but I've gotten used to it. But
mm-hmm.
when it comes to anything as like your daily intake, it's important to have a plan, I think.
Yeah.
That's a fact,
Otherwise, you're
bro.
gonna lose focus. You're gonna lose discipline. You're gonna get discouraged at any little thing. So, like when you eat a diet, a lot of people talk about these cheat days, but if you plan that, then it's going to be easier to do the discipline stuff because you have something
Yeah.
to look forward. It's like, you know what, I'll just wait. On Friday I'm going to eat all this. I'm going to eat this pizza and all this and that. So like
Mm-hmm.
you could parallel this to like taking a break.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and it comes down to communication when you got people around you, because everything you do affects the people around you. It's your
Yeah.
family. So I mean,
Mhm.
if you guys can be like, because you can aimlessly just create and like not have a plan, and your girl's waiting for you to spend some time, sit down and watch a movie. And I still struggle with this. Like, she'd rather I sit down and watch movies. She thinks I know it. I'm uptight. Like, I'm always like here trying to get something done.
Yeah.
But if you communicate and be like, we're gonna go on this little vacation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or like twice a month we're gonna go out of town or something,
Yeah. You
then
got to be able
at
to
least
shut your
they,
drive off.
yeah, and they
Because
have
it's not
something
uptight.
to
Your
look forward to.
drive, yo. That's a drive. That's like that energy inside of you trying to get out and express itself. And it's not like uptight. Like you don't want to be there. It's just you got to get something out. And I think
Yeah,
it's tough, man. It's tough to find that balance because, but I think everybody has it, right? Like it might not be the same
Yeah.
thing that creates it. Like your significant other, it might be their drive might be something totally different. Like my wife's like drive for a little while was like makeup and like cosmetics, and like she was just really getting into the
mm,
whole thing.
Mhm.
Started doing YouTube about it, that passion. And then that kind of fell by the wayside. I guess that was kind of more on the hobby side for her. And then now it's like real estate. She's just like so in love with homes, and she watches HGTV. I mean, she always has, but like now she took it to the next level of being a real
yeah,
estate agent, and now she gets to go look at new homes and stuff for a living. You know what I'm saying? So I
that's
think
awesome.
that I think finding a balance between your passion and like whatever it is that you need to do for a living, finding a balance, whether it's keeping them separate or bringing them together, it's crucial because it's like if you
Mm.
don't express that part, like you said, you're uptight. You can't even watch a movie in
Yeah.
peace, you know.
But
But then that's also a skill, learning how to turn off your drive.
yeah.
Like I found myself getting better with that the last couple of years, where it's like I'm turning like I'm leaving my phone in another room. Like people literally hit me up like, "Yo, bro, you haven't talked to me for 2 days," and I'm like, "Yeah, I turned my phone off for 2 days, and I just played with my kids, and I went to a state park, and I went to a beach." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
have to do that, bro, because
yeah.
I won't
yeah, you
turn the
haven't
drive
talked to
off.
me for 2 days.
Yeah,
I was like, yo, man. I'm like, yo, bro. What's up, man?
yeah,
Like,
you get a
come
little
on.
sensitive, man. What's your sign again? Oh, ain't you a
I'm a
Leo?
I'm an Aries,
Oh, you're an
man.
Aries. Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
See,
we
that might be it, man. Let's
No,
check in
but
with the chat again real quick,
Let's
I
unless
was
y'all
do
had
it.
just
something
go
to say.
okay.
Fendi Pendergrass said thoughts on type beats. Oh man, we don't got time for that today, bro.
Type beats is a lot.
Type beats is a whole. No, I think it's kind of it's a dead horse that's been beat. But CMP, shout out to CMP. He said, "What's up, chat? Dime online. Music is timeless. Absolutely." Bruno the Bean. It's more being in the right mood than the time to need to spend. Probably after work day does not happen often, but whenever it feels good or had an idea, I start a beat. That's real too, man. Because
Yeah.
I've tried to make time for making music, and it's like when I go to do it, it's like, yo, what am I? I don't want to be in the studio. I'm dumb tired. Like I'm not gonna make
Mm,
anything dope
Yeah.
yeah.
tonight because I'm just exhausted. Like I'm gonna be forcing it.
That's
So
why NPC lives are better than machine.
What?
man, here you
Because you
What are
can
you?
oh, you could just
What?
take
because
them
like
anywhere.
because the thing is it's
Said
like,
it earlier.
like you said, like when inspiration strikes, it's nice to be able to just pull like your NPC
Yeah,
out
But
and
yeah.
be,
that.
you know,
Yeah, yeah,
because you're not like, even though you try to force yourself to go in the studio, like you said, like sometimes it's just not. And this is the type of craft that you can't just, like it has to flow from you, and
Raul,
that's
you're
why
saying
it's
it wouldn't
so.
be helpful if you could just take your NPC and go sit down in the kitchen and make beats, like,
in the
or did you
kitchen.
not find that was a thing? Because you had a live one, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
still.
I had a live one, but I never really did that. I took it to work, but I never
Mm-hmm.
sat myself on the couch, because
Right.
if I did that, my kids would just be hovering me anyways, and I
Oh
wouldn't be able
yeah.
to do
Okay.
anything.
I'm
Yeah.
telling
But
you, like I'm the spokesperson for NPC Live. I'm telling you, I ain't did
because
everything
of the
besides.
batter,
Yeah, I've done everything besides have my NPC Live in a pool with me. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember I was at my boy house. and we was just chilling. We was all just like kind of like partying, drinking and stuff like that. And I'm like, here I am, got my legs like on the wall. You
Yeah.
know how you like lay on your back and you got your legs on the wall, just doing some weird, some just weird
Mhm.
shit, you know. And I got my MPC right there, and I'm making a beat like just laying like that, bro. It was
Yo, we
fire.
got a
Oh.
great comment. Yo, Zach M said, "Sample the shows and movies she makes you watch."
She said, "Oh my God, you can't put that away." Like,
Yeah, that would be crazy. Sampling the movies. I think
um,
I've not done it in real time, but I think I've been inspired by something I heard on Netflix that she had me watching, and I went back and seen if I could. I don't think I sampled it, but that's not a bad idea.
yeah.
I've done that too, like with like this. I sample what the Man of Steel, like that the little
Oh,
intro movie when he's about to like fight everybody, like dun, dun,
Uh,
dun, dun. Yeah,
oh,
I did
okay.
that like years ago. That was tight. I like that.
I was trying to think of the dude's name who, because when you were talking about making beats at the pool, I've seen him do a video like this. He's a Spanish dude. His videos are in Spanish, but he
I
does a
think I
lot
know
of
who you're
boom
talking
bap,
about.
and
Yeah,
he had an NPC
oh,
like
you
on the
talking about
side.
on the side of the pool. He's braver than me.
He's got a lot of sample packs and stuff through
Yeah,
Drum Broker.
Cooking Soul?
Cooking Soul, yeah,
yeah,
there
Cooking
you go.
Soul,
definitely.
yeah,
He's
Cooking
definitely
Soul
Yeah,
super
braver
y'all
than
dope.
seen that video?
he's definitely
Yeah,
braver than
Yeah,
me. I'm not doing that. You know.
nah,
yeah,
that is inspired me. Like I've been to the beach with my family probably 3 times since I saw that video, and I take my NPC every single time.
yeah.
It's definitely yeah, but he was next to a pool with it. That's a little brave. That's definitely a
Yeah.
little brave.
I'm
But
telling you, like I've literally been at I've been at a bonfire, bro, and like my dudes know I make beats. So I'm at the bonfire, like this little beat comes on, like with like, and it was like kind of funky, bro. And he was like, "Yo, man, like you make beats, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He was like, "Man, you should sample this." I was like, "I should sample that." I'll go grab my MPC and I sample and make a beat right there. And you're like, you know. It's
Yeah.
for real. Like nowadays, like when I'm doing like because of the YouTube stuff like that, like the NPC really like kind of just sits in the studio now. But like
hmm
I never hesitate to like when I go places and stuff like that to pick it up and take it because you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Especially now with like, 2.10, it's like, I don't really need
yeah. You
too many
don't,
other
bro. I'm
things.
about to ramp that content up on my channel crazy this coming year.
The
Like
2 points.
yeah,
What's that?
just standalone, like taking my NPC to anywhere. Like I'm
Yeah,
literally about to start hopping in my truck and just
yeah.
filming anywhere. Like
I definitely see the benefit of being able to do that. And like early YouTube days for me, like I was taking it to work and stuff, and I would,
hmm
even if I was just planning a video, but for some reason, like nothing inspires me more than my like studio space. Like
Okay,
it's just not the same vibe to me.
That
And
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense because like
hmm
my
yeah,
studio, like now that I got like my little Marvel figures and stuff, like like I said, I call my studios like the Iron Man suits. Like
hmm
I'm at Mach 10 right now. I'm trying to create new suits, So my next studio hopefully it'll be, nicer than this. But I remember Mach 1, and
hmm And I
it
think
was nice.
creating our own space, like
Yeah.
create, what I mean, we do it for a reason. So I definitely understand that, and I
yeah.
agree. But then what I found is like the one time, like I actually made a video on my channel. It's like one of my lesser watched videos, but it was probably the one that was the most fun to watch. Like I mean, most fun to make because we
Mm,
went to a beach and like basically we got there. It started raining when we first got there, and I just ended up being tired after the drive. I think it was like a 5 hour, 4 hour drive. So I woke up at 6 in the morning, took the live two out to the they had like a tiki bar that was like closed. It didn't open till 10. So I got out there about like 6:30 a.m. I just brought the live two out there, brought my camera, excuse me, and my digital recorder, and I just made a beach watching the sun come up. And even though it's not the same. Like
I was
I
just saying
found
I
I
got mine right here.
you got the whole kit. I
Yeah.
picked different sounds though. Like I ended like
really?
that beat is something. Yeah, because like I normally when I'm in my lab, I make a certain type of beat most of the time. It's usually very introspective. And I think it's
Hmm.
because this is where I come to like do a lot of thinking. But I was on that beach, man. It's like I picked this kind of like tropical sounding sample. It was like had little chants in the background, like yeah,
S-
yeah. And I was like,
what
oh man,
it makes me
that's
think. What was that Beach Boy music called? What is like a genre? What is like the
uh
Beach Boys like?
like the surfing
Yeah,
Yeah,
joints. Yeah.
you gonna be like doing surf hop. or something.
Surf hop. Yeah, but I think that type of inspiration is dope. Like I would hear like Kanye would go down to like Hawaii and just book a studio for like a month and just fly everybody out to Hawaii, right? So like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think changing your scenery is definitely a
it,
look.
it
Like it's
it
definitely
does
a vibe.
play it does play on your vibe a little bit more because like I said, like, and like for me, like I told you, like my boy, like I probably would have never sampled that what he wanted me to sample
Hmm.
if he wasn't there and was like, yo, bro, you should sample
Right.
that,
Yeah.
and it was
okay.
just cool. Like it's just like you get like inspirational. Like just think like when you like you've been somewhere and like
Yeah.
you hear
Well,
like some sound or something, you're like, man, that
there's
that
that.
that would be dope as a beat, but then you get home
Hmm.
and you forget all about it,
Well,
like.
let me bring that up since I mean there definitely is something to that, like taking it somewhere in the environment thing. But
Hmm.
what do
Hmm.
you guys have you ever experienced like so if you did take a break and then you didn't make music, you went somewhere new and then came back. Do you ever feel like that refreshes your
Yeah.
creativity? There is something
Yeah,
to
Hmm.
because
that
I'm
there.
like super, like,
Mhm.
I was super East Coast dude. You know what I'm saying? I go down to Atlanta for 2 years. I mean, when I say it's not like I'm hanging out in Atlanta, like, nah, bro. I'm with the top DJs in the
Mhm.
hottest nightclubs 5 to 6 nights a week. Like, I'm doing photo shoots, but like, not photo shoots, but I'm taking pictures of people. I was doing some photo shoots in clubs, and like I'm taking pictures of the DJs. Like the DJs are turning into my clients, the club owners are turning into my clients. So I'm literally in the clubs in Atlanta for like 5 to 6 days a week for 2 years.
Okay.
They're like, bro, you know what I'm saying? My whole bop changed. I started understanding like cause the connect is like I couldn't understand why these beats sounded like yo that's not life to me. Like that bop is like doesn't make sense. But when you go to a club and you start immersing yourself in the culture of that city, you
Mhm.
start seeing how the kids are dancing to it. And I say kids, I mean like young people. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you start seeing,
Yeah.
these crews are like, 4 or 5 dudes come in, they all dressed in like a similar way, and they got these dance routines on the floor, bro. And it's like that's the culture of that city. Like, and I
Hmm.
started
Yeah.
soaking it in, like, yo, that's what that bop is for. So these kids can do that type of dancing. Like, and once I started understanding the way they like to move, the way, the counts and everything, it started changing the way I made beats. Because when I came back, I spent probably like a whole year just working on my trap vibes. Like my whole first year back, I didn't even want to make no like East Coast boom bap style stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I was literally learning the trap cadence. Like I had heard it for years, but like I was learning how to program it on the MPC.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, yo. Like I honestly like I can't lose it. Like even though I still like lately, like the last year, I've really kind of going back to my roots in a lot of ways. I
Yeah.
still, when I just make beats for fun, I still make a lot of those Atlanta trap style joints. Like not
Yeah.
necessarily the stuff that's hot right now, but the stuff that was hot those 2 years I was in the clubs. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But
Which back then that was Mike Will was killing it.
yeah, Mike
Uh,
Wells, Zaytoven, all those guys, right?
yeah, Zaytoven,
You have what's his
London on
what's
the track had just killed the joint with Ti and Young Thug. Yeah, but it was
got
mostly Mike
London
Will was just on fire
London
at that
on the
point.
track.
So
Yeah.
this goes deep. Like what I was saying about your diet, it really comes down to what you feed yourself. If you think about
Yeah,
feeding
man.
yourself in many ways, what you listen to, what you hear, what you
Hmm.
see,
Hmm.
what you experience, all that, man, it all affects what you output. So what you put in
Yeah,
does come out in
and it
itself. So
Yeah.
changes
it's
your
good to,
taste. Yeah,
yeah, and good to use that strategically. So, um, yeah, I mean that's
See
it.
that
That's all you know.
that goes back to like we talked about being too old. That's why you're never too old to do stuff like this. Is because
hmm,
like you can always like figure out a way to do it. All you got to do is like make stuff that's relevant. You know what I'm
hmm.
saying? And stuff like, and if it's fun to you, it's gonna still make sense. Like you said, you Sight was used to doing boom bap, but then he came to
Mm,
Atlanta and he was still having just as much fun doing boom bap. But Sight is you in your 40s. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So like the people, like if you was like trying to shop your music and stuff like that, the artists and stuff don't care how old Sight is if his track is banging.
Yeah, nah,
You
that's
know what I'm
that's real,
saying?
bro.
Like, you know, you can really still like, you know, do your thing. You know, we
I
got
think I'm the
people in the
same age
community.
as Drummer Boy.
Yeah,
Drummer Boy,
drummer,
and
like
oh, he was
there's
killing it
still
too. He's another one. It's like
everybody
one
is
of my
still
favorite producers, bro.
Wait,
Drummer Boy is in like my
yeah.
top 5.
there's still a lot of like relevant people that are like, oh, Timberland
Yeah,
is still killing it. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
Raz,
you look at it
Raz,
as maybe people that made an impact early on and they're still in it. I mean,
well, I
look,
mean,
Jay-Z
there's
is in
like
his, how old is Jay-Z? Like,
Jay-Z,
I
yeah.
mean,
he's
yeah,
got to be
he's created a,
But
52
don't
or
we
yeah.
have
something like
like
that.
how old is because we have people that have like some, I don't know how much stuff, but like how old is Bolo, the producer?
Oh yeah. But I
Like,
think he's got a video where he talks about that. But
yeah,
yeah,
you know,
what his hit was for an 18-year-old, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Like his
I think
first
he just
hit.
caught another one, right? Like I caught
Yeah.
a little bit of the video,
Yeah,
Nice.
and
that's what I'm saying. Like I think he's an older dude. He's probably like in our
But you
age
know what?
demographic, and
I want
he still be doing stuff, you know.
I want to
And now
say
he's
this.
got his own YouTube channel too. So like he's really like
Yeah.
feeding his brand, you know.
mm-hmm.
And I love that dude, but he's great. But
Yeah.
I don't think this is about age. I think it's more about your mind state. Because I
Mm-hmm.
wish more people, like you were saying,
Hmm.
you were open to doing, trap stuff. Well, maybe you
Yeah.
came from more of a boom bap age. And I'm kind
Mm-hmm.
of in between that. So like I kind of recognize and understand the mentality of people who like don't like that stuff because I was kind of there. Because I would
Mm-hmm.
go back and study the old stuff because I have an appreciation for hip hop. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm slowly kind of moving up. It took me a while before I was like, I want to kind of try some of this trap,
Mm-hmm.
techniques and stuff. So I
Yeah.
think I just wish more people would do that. So it maybe not be a matter of age. It's really what your brain is telling you, like how old are you in your
Mm-hmm.
mind? Are you willing to open your mind? Because I mean, countless generations will go by where they talk shit about the previous age in their music
Yeah.
and say that ain't music, or the next age.
Well, that
Hmm.
brings me
It's
to
just no.
Jack Bauer. He says, I lose interest in the track as soon as I hear those hats. And that's what I'm trying to tell
No.
you, bro. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, when you immerse yourself in the culture where those hats, where they're being done, like, the double time, triple time, triplet
Triple
hats or
Tribe,
whatever.
yeah. I love those hats, by the way. That's my
When
shit.
you hear so much of that music, you start to figure out why the hats sound like that. They sound like that. If you just listen to the beat by itself, it's like, those hats are annoying.
Yeah.
But if you listen to Young Thug spit on the track, you're like, you know what I mean? It's like he's rapping in triplets. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? It's like you start to understand like why the hats sound like that. And this
Yeah.
is something that I've been trying to tell people, that something that I picked up, right? Because like I've never been like immersed in Southern culture before. So I got down here and I'm going to all these black colleges and stuff, right? Again, parties, gigs. I'm taking pictures of DJs. I'm hanging with the DJs backstage. And a lot of this stuff is at colleges, black colleges.
Yeah.
And the marching bands, bro.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of dance. It's a lot of dance culture like
Nah,
down
but
in the
peep
south.
though, that's a major influence on trap, bro. Like
Yeah.
Hmm.
maybe not
That
right
makes
right
sense.
now trap, but like you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. I
The
know what you're
triplets
saying.
and the and then ending your 8 bars with a roll. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's marching band influenced. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
And like
And
even with the brass and stuff, like you hear a lot of brass and
yeah,
stuff in like southern music and stuff too.
and the 808, it is boom,
808. Yep.
boom. When you're playing that big bass drum in the marching band, that sound
Yeah.
like an
Hmm.
808. So
Yep.
it's really when you start getting immersed into the culture, you start understanding where the influences come from. You know what I'm saying? And he said it's soulless to me. Too much quantization. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say, bro. Like I'm not going to try to convince you that
But what
that's
is
not
it?
the case. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you like there's more to it than you think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And let me
It's
say this. Let me say this, Jack, because I understand what you're saying.
you
I've
said
been
that
there.
man slick. Let me say this, Jack.
No, it's this thing, but now I listen to some boom bap tracks. And what's your hi hat?
Yeah,
It's
I
simple.
yo,
mean,
there's
I'm not
there's some
impressed
over
anymore.
Look,
quantized boom bap
I tell
tracks
you
too.
this. I tell you
No,
this.
yeah,
Like coming up with some of those, like especially now, like they're getting really creative with like some of these hi hats. That like I challenge somebody to like try to come up with like a hi hat pattern, like some of these guys too, where they have them like switching like tones and like
Mm-hmm.
velocities and like
I could
you know
do
what I'm saying?
triplets manually. I can go.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
come on. Would it be
But
more,
then you
soulful?
got
Yeah.
like the like just how they like sequence like everything is like they talk about the quantize and stuff like that, but still the way that they sequence it is dope. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? Because like they're not just doing singles and triplets. Now they're doing singles and triplets, but the triplets might be like an octave lower, or you know what I'm saying, or
Yeah, yeah.
they might be coming up like you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
different way to so they're like programming the drums in like a cool way, and
Yeah.
that like
It's
really
just more it's more electronic, right? And like
yeah
I think it's easy to say stuff that's more electronic is soulless, but you gotta understand like a lot of great soul music, soulful music. I'm not gonna call it soul music, but like a lot of great soulful music was made with synthesizers. You know what I mean? In the
hmm
70s, like it just ran through different technology, so it sounded smoother to the ear. And maybe it's the combination of the synthesizers with modern technology being so crisp and so clear. It's a little harsh on the ears. Like I agree. Like I don't really
yeah
like a whole lot of the really high end. Even when I'm making trap beats now, I'm throwing like a SSL on it, and you know what I mean, or I'm throwing some type of analog type plug-in to make the highs less offensive to
like
my
kind of
ears.
soften them up or like
Yeah,
kind of put like a filter on them kind of, you
yeah,
know what I'm saying.
absolutely.
But when you think about the essence of like hip hop too, like yeah, you be having crazy beats in hip hop that are like the drums are basically simple, but you might have like a crazy sample in it.
Hmm.
But the big part about hip hop is like when you have the beat and stuff like that, it leaves a lot of room for you to hear the bars because hip hop is about like what the people are saying
Hmm.
spoken word in a way. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So you do want
Mm.
the beat to be hitting, but it's still open enough to where you're hearing those bars. Because when you listen to hip hop, you're not doing dancing. You're not like in there like, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying,
Well,
doing
I think
this stuff.
early hip hop was probably quantized. Other than using samples, like what are some of the biggest influences like African Bambaataa? That was a drum
Oh, that was
machine.
super synth. Like, come
Yeah.
on, man. That's
Oh
that's
yeah.
literally quantized synth. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It doesn't get more quantized than that. But I mean,
But
yeah, it was yeah, go
when you
ahead.
think about hip hop though, like like you listen to southern music, it makes you want to dance. When you listen to hip hop, you like this, and then when somebody say something sick, you like make that face like, oh, that man just spoke that. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
Because it's
It's a
more
bigger
about
picture thing, man.
it's more about the message, like with
It
hip
is
hop.
And and going
Yeah.
back to Black 59 Raids, a great Mike Dean, almost 60. Yo, for y'all who don't know Mike Dean, his resume, I don't know his whole resume, but I remember seeing Mike Dean on almost all the like aftermath stuff like Dre was doing like maybe 15 years ago, like the 50 Cent stuff. I remember seeing Mike Dean on so many of those Dr. Dre productions doing like the strings and the arrangements and stuff, right? Now Lil whoever, you name it, like Travis Scott, Lil whoever's hot right now,
little,
Mike Dean is on the record.
little whoever, you got too many
He's
littles.
60 and he's on the Lil's
little,
records.
little, you
Like
know, little Yachty,
Lil Yacht,
little
yeah, like all those
Uzi,
guys, bro. He's
little
producing all those
baby,
guys. Yep.
little.
So it's really a matter of like it's definitely not age, you know what I'm saying? And I know everybody doesn't want to be Mike Dean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but yo, you can't say Mike Dean is soulless. Like that man definitely has some like major hits, and he's very current, and he also his ability to play is phenomenal. Like if you never caught like Mike Dean on like a live stream, like I implore you to go check him out because I mean this dude is literally smoking a joint like a hippie, bro. Like playing on a $10,000 keyboard, tracking it into like Ableton Live. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it just shows that you can take your soul, you can take the influence of your generation and and actually use it as a part of the current culture. If you know what I'm saying, like if you get to that point of respect where people respect you that much. And I mean, he's worked with everybody from Scarface early on in his career to, I mean, bro, I can go all day about Mike Dean as far as like his resume, but I thought that comment was great because Mike Dean is like super heavy hitter, man. You know what I'm saying? And he's I think he's around 60. He's an older dude.
There's a
You
lot
know
of
what I
people
mean?
still out here. A light on my stream, Enlightenment Music and Podcast said that Scott Storch is still out here doing this thing, rocking
Mm-hmm.
too. Scott Storch is an older guy too. He's
Is
not
it?
young.
Yeah, I think he might be like a couple years older than me, maybe like 40 something, 45, 44.
He
Yeah,
may
but if
just
you
look older. He's always got that cigarette. I don't care.
he might smoke too much. They just
Wanted to
say
keep.
cocaine is a hell of a drug. Like
and
he was on that
but
he was on that white for a minute.
one thing about Scott Storch though, like he is a beast with them keys, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
said, and he's always doing it, playing with that cigarette in his hand. I don't. He probably go through like 5 keyboards a
uh,
year. They probably fill with like all that, all that cigarette
yeah.
ash.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a beast.
I
Real
saw
beast.
Mike
Yeah.
Dean on Jamal's album in 1995. Wow, Jamal,
Jamal.
that was the dude who was signed to
When he
he
did
was signed to Eric Sermon's label, I believe. He was part of Def Squad with Redman and Eric Sermon,
what was
and
that hit
he
he
was the young
had?
dude.
He had a hit that
Jamal
was
fades them all. Who the want to see Jamal fades them all? Like that, yo, that's an underground
I don't know that.
classic right there. Like
Who won it? Yeah, I never heard
Mike
that.
Dean on that album, that's crazy. And I had that tape. I think Jamal's album, I had that tape. So 95, yeah, Mike Dean been doing it for a while, and maybe that's it, right? Like, you just need to look at who's been relevant for a really long time. You know what I mean? Like, and not reverse engineer what they do, but I'm saying like I don't ever look at Mike Dean and see somebody who compromised, right? Like
Yeah.
he literally is smoking a joint every session, playing what he wants to play. He sends it to people. You're like, oh, if you use it, you use it. If you don't, you don't. I mean, like he sends stuff to Kanye all the time. Like, bro, he came up in the Texas scene, as J Mac said, like, Scarface and I want to say Suave House, or I forgot exactly what but he's worked with like everybody, you know what I mean, at this point. And it's like when you look at somebody like that, man, it's rap a lot. Yep.
What's
When you look at somebody whose resume is that extensive and his level of respect is with so like multiple generations. You're talking like 3 generations of
Yeah.
hip hop now. Listen to Mike Dean records. Like,
Yeah. See, but
that's
that
pretty crazy.
you can't have a closed mind. You gotta have an open mind when it comes to
Yeah.
music, and that's helpful for being creative. Like you say, you don't gotta reverse engineer. You just gotta do what you do and allow what's current to influence you. Like,
Yeah.
be open to receiving
Or
it.
wait for it to come back around, right? Because I just listened to a conversation with Alchemist, and he said the same thing Primo's been saying. Like, yo, I knew it was going to come back around. Like, meaning there was going to be
What's
a
that?
movement that made what I do relevant again,
Relevant
or
again.
popping again. I don't want to call it relevant
Yeah.
because I don't ever think
It does
Alchemist
seem
and
like
Primo weren't
trends are.
relevant.
I don't know what you're referring to, but it does seem like trends are cyclical.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from what you're saying. It's like things just kind of, there's a pattern of repetition and stuff, like with anything, like with fashion and stuff and with music.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you'll see things come back and then it's
Right.
kinda
Well,
sad.
see, kind of and kind of getting back on track of what like this podcast that we're talking about. Like a lot of these producers that we've been talking about and stuff like that, at some point, like in their lives, like took like a break and came
Or
back
yeah,
better.
or they look like they took a break because the
Yeah.
industry gave them a break.
Yeah,
Y'all
you know what I'm
remember
saying?
when Jay-Z retired?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, for that 2 months. Yeah, I remember.
Was
that.
it 2 months?
It was like after the Black albums. Like,
How
yo, I
many
retired.
albums has he had since then? It's
a
like,
lot.
Yeah, it's wild.
But like even like I know there was a time when like because Timberland's like my favorite producer. There was like a time because Timberland always works, right? He's always doing stuff. But there's been times where Timberland is just like literally
Well-
like not done anything,
Mhm.
But then he comes back and he always scorches stuff, Scott Storch had a whole bunch of stuff going on, with his health and like the stuff that he was doing had to get right, and he took a hiatus from music too.
Mhm.
Like and ended up coming back, and now he's been doing a lot of stuff now again too, working with a lot of people.
Mhm.
well,
you know.
let's talk about that a little bit. Do you think that these people, I mean, if you're a professional musician, you're in the business, so maybe these are professional moves. Like Jay-Z, maybe it wasn't his intent to actually retire. Maybe he did, sincerely want to retire, and then he was like, well, I love the music so much, I need to come back. I don't know if you guys listened to the rapper Logic, but he retired like a year ago, supposedly. But
Is
he's
he
just, I
sticking
think
to
it's
it?
just,
He's been doing
What's that?
Twitch. He's been doing Twitch.
so he's doing something else, I guess.
Mhm.
But
Oh, yeah, he went
I
to
haven't
Twitch. That's right. He
really,
got a big
I haven't really
Twitch deal.
checked out his stuff, but I've seen like, like the little YouTube things. It says he's got new music. I think I haven't really checked it
Hmm.
out, but
Yeah.
Oh, so you
Well,
got
yeah.
a
So
notification that he dropped something
yeah,
new.
I feel like he's dropped new stuff, like but it's just like changing the perspective. Is he really retiring? Is he just doing something different and
Right.
just saying that it's retirement stuff? So yeah, I mean, is that a professional move? You think, like a business thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've had this mental conversation with myself. Like,
oh, I
will I
just feel
ever
like deja
retire
vu.
at all? Like, will I ever stop working on something? And I
Mm,
honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I love working so much. Like, whether it's whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever I'm into, I love it so much. I get so immersed into my work. I can't see myself ever not working. So I can see myself literally working until the day
yeah,
I die. Like, if I'm 80 and all I can do is, tell my computer to do stuff, like I
yeah,
can't move my, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. Like, I literally thought of that. I'm like, yo, the technology is going to make it to where I can work and I can, meaning create, right? Because when I say work,
mm,
like, I'm trying to make my job as a full time creator. So
yeah,
I don't ever want to stop doing that.
right.
I swear I'm
Preaching
having
the choir.
deja vu right now because I swear we had this conversation in like I don't know why it just feels weird, but but
No,
yeah,
I've
it's like retirement though. It's not really retirement for like even like the people who getting super successful and stuff. Just retirement just means that if they don't want to work, they don't have to. You know,
Gotcha.
yeah.
I feel
But
like
yo,
people are creative; they're gonna create no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
if they
this is
want to
this
just
is
take
a
time off, they can.
conversation I feel like we had. I think it comes to like down to the a man just having a purpose of providing. Because I hear about it just with regular average people that had like labor jobs, is where they like in retirement, but they can't sit still.
Mm-hmm.
They feel
Yeah.
Yeah.
like they have to be doing something, otherwise. So
Well, I
I
guess
don't know what that
I
is, but
think I always hear stories about people who stop working and then they don't do nothing and they end up dying early.
Right. Yeah.
Like I mean, but for real, but if you kind of think of it, it's kind of like a spiritual and physical thing though, because now you're
mm,
not using your brain to to like figure out things because you always got to figure out things when you're at work and stuff. So your mental capacity goes down, and then you're not physically working your body. So then now your body's going downhill too. You know what I'm
mm,
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like that, whereas you're working, like the human brain is so complex, like you almost got to put it through its paces and your body too to make sure that it stays healthy and
Yep.
yeah,
you
El
you
Butter
can't.
said, "If there's joy involved, why stop?" My pops always said, "Use it or lose it," and that's a fact, bro. The mind is a
Hmm.
muscle. Use it or lose it. It's like if I think about all the things that I used to do production wise. Like I was telling people when Marco Polo put his kit out, right? Like the pad thai one for MPC.
hmm
Hmm.
Looking at his programming, like when I would load up his programs and then hit play, seeing how I programmed his drums reminded me of stuff I did in like 2010. I was like, yo, I
yeah,
forgot that technique of
it's
of
interesting.
just having not just a kick, a snare, having a kick, a snare, a short roll, a long roll, boom, boom, like having all that programmed into the sequence. It was just like master level programming, and I'm like,
Mm,
man, I lost that. Not like I lost it, like I can never get it back, but it reminded me of something that I used to do when I
mm,
was like quote unquote top of my game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That I hadn't done in a while, and it's helped because
mm,
I kind of got back to it. But there's so
yeah,
many skills that if we don't practice them, we can lose them. And I think having that passion and always working at stuff or working at a craft it keeps you satisfied because you know there's always something that either you haven't done in a while or something that you never did or never accomplished, and you want to put that check that off for your own
yeah.
personal satisfaction.
Yep.
Let me say something about that pack because I picked it up and that's cool. You
Hmm.
brought it up because it's interesting to see that drum program, the way he programs. But the thing is, like, not every one of those drum programs is programmed the same way. Like
Right.
some of the stuff is like in a mute group, and then some of the stuff is independent. But it got me thinking too. Like, you know, you don't got to always do things the same way. So this is like another parallel with this taking a break stuff. Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then like the other stuff we're talking about, like not accepting newer music and stuff, is you got to be open minded and not be like just set in your ways. Because being set in your
Mm-hmm.
ways doesn't breed creativity. Like
Right.
No, it
you
doesn't.
got to be open to, you know. So I mean, I don't know
I
where I'm
mean,
going with that, but
that's
as
why
far
you
as like,
have that's why you have like the bitter people in like different places. We see some of these people that come in the NPC gangs sometime where they're like just
um,
definitely stuck in their ways and like just
Yeah.
don't want to hear like because like
Yeah.
I mean like things always change. The evolution of music has always been different, but it has like it still kind of stems from like the same
yeah,
core as like creating something musically, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you
yeah,
have
and this
different genres, and new ones always pop up all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
and there's a
it's
difference
the
between
evolution.
being true to yourself and just being, you know, plumb stubborn and shit. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
know,
yeah, you know what I'm
that's
saying.
fine.
Absolutely. Chat. Once again, everybody that's in here. First of all, I just want to thank everybody who stopped in today. We're probably going to start wrapping it up because we've been on here for about an hour and a half. I know we all family men got stuff to do. But yeah, I want to thank everybody that stopped in today. And what I wanted to say, and I hate to shift gears on y'all this quick because I just wanted to get to it because I know we talked about it earlier. What we'd like to do to kind of involve some of y'all more is we're going to be starting this hashtag Dad Beats and really going
Hashtag
hard.
Debbie.
Hashtag Dad Beats. We're going to be
Hashtag.
posting it on Facebook, Instagram, probably here on YouTube as well. The shorts and stuff. I'm going to start posting some shorts with it. Um, Stuff you guys do, with your music and your family, whether it's your kids using your MPC. If you feel comfortable sharing that kind of stuff, make sure you tag, put the hashtag Dad Beats in it. We're gonna start checking that stuff out like during the week, and putting our favorite ones on the next show. So we're gonna get to the point where we're doing these weekly. And just really interacting with you guys more, man, because we all really love this community, the producer community in general, and not just NPCs. Even though we're all NPC users, Lifting Noise is going hard with his what's the gray one again that you're rocking on?
Oh, the Novation Circuit,
The
the rhythm.
Novation Circuit. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Everybody knows King O Caesar loves Machine Plus, and nah.
I love Machine Plus.
But nah, we if there's other creators that y'all content creators on here that y'all would love to see on the show, let us know. There's definitely some that are already kind of like friends, and we're gonna reach out and have them on. So 100 brand definitely one as well. Shout out to So 100. We'll
Yep.
get him on here to talk about sound design stuff, and we're gonna come up with different topics and stuff. But I just want to take this moment to kind of like reach out to everybody that's tuned in, and everybody who's watching this later on. We definitely want y'all to be a big part of this podcast as far as the content that we bring, the ideas that we have. We can brainstorm on stuff, but really a lot of the stuff that's issued, we get inspired by y'all. So whether it's posting an NPC gang group
Real talk.
or comments, comments that you guys leave, it means a lot to us, and it really gives us inspiration on what we're going to talk about next. And we really want to we want to tackle conversations that y'all want to have as well, and include y'all in the conversation. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to say all that, and definitely, if we're trying to make it where this is what I noticed in the NPC gang, right? When one of us makes a post with our kids messing with our NPC, or with our kids in the picture somewhere, it tends to get so many likes, and it just reminded me of how much of our crowd, is loves family, and is has kids or youth that they're around that are positively influenced by us. So we really want to take that and create a more of a movement with it. You know what I'm saying? Like we're happy to kind of like be here in this position in this platform to do it, but we definitely want to keep building our community and really just showcase more of what everybody's doing, because like there's three of us up here, but there's so much more to this community. We want to involve a lot more of y'all. So no, it's a little long winded. I did just want to get to that before we roll out of here.
I'm gonna do the segments too, just like what I'm saying. So like you guys watching, if you guys like the stuff that we've been talking about, if you guys rock with us, do us a favor, solid, hit that like button for us. What I'm saying? We all have individual channels, what I'm saying? So if you guys will please go subscribe to each one of our channels, check us out. We're all cool. You know what I'm saying? But also
I'm
we
a
got
dork sometimes, but no, I'm
yeah.
joking.
But also we got stuff to offer. Like Sight just dropped the second part of his standalone. So if you guys need samples and stuff like that, go check it out. It's really cool. Lifted Noise has like some merch available if you guys want to support us. We would we appreciate it very much because you know we're able to do this stuff because you guys help us and we're always appreciated and we thank you guys for everything that you do. And we don't have no dad. I seen somebody in here say we need some dad beat merch. We don't
It's
have none of
coming,
that.
yo.
We
I
don't
know. I
have
know.
that.
All eyes are on me.
Yeah, we don't have no merch yet, but hopefully
I
sometime
did
soon.
reach out to DadBeats, and we're gonna have him on as a guest, and we're gonna talk about the apparel hustle as producers. So that's a topic that's gonna be coming up, because this is, like I said, it's a very passionate thing for me. So shout out to DadBeats. I don't know if he got a chance to stop in today, but he has a YouTube channel. You can check him out. But we're gonna have. I reached out to him already. I said, we're gonna start with some snapbacks with he does like the puff embroidery, so we're gonna do some DadBeats snapbacks to kind of just get things kicked off, and then we'll come up with some cool apparel and stuff like that too. So I appreciate y'all for even asking
Now,
about that.
where can they find us if they can't catch the live show? What platforms are we as far as like the podcast? Because this is
Yeah.
actual podcast too. We're on different platforms.
DadBeatsPodcast.com, or DadBeatsPod.com, or you can go to we're on Spotify, um, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. So usually I try to upload on the next day. I just do a little bit of finessing with the audio and send them up. So we missed the last episode because we had some mic issues. So I don't know if episode 3 is going to make it. Maybe I'll try to do some surgery on it. But this time I think we have much more consistent mic levels. So going forward, they'll be on all those platforms as well.
Yes.
So that'll
We
do it,
love that.
fellas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's been a nice
Absolutely.
chat.
Appreciate y'all. Peace.